Build Black, Buy Black, Bank Black is the motto of the I Love Black People Transatlantic Bus Tour, the first of its kind tour rolling through 20 HBCUs in just 2 months. It is promoting Bitcoin and Black liberation. The tour's creator is a co-founder of Bitmari, a Bitcoin cryptocurrency company, Sinclair Skinner. He joins us right now. So a lot of people, though, let's talk about Bitcoin. Say this is a fraud, that it is not real currency. Why are you promoting this as an option to wealth creation?
Well, I think it goes back to the early adoption phase, just like the internet. There was talk shows, they were talking about the email and the @ symbol, and it's kind of classic how we missed that whole opportunity. So in real ways, we're trying to make sure that we go around to our communities and make sure this next phase of technology we're actually engaged and informed about, and not the last to know.
So the folks who don't know exactly what is Bitcoin.
So our Bitcoin is a digital currency. So currently people take pictures, and there was a time we used to take pictures, and it was a piece of paper and you had to get it developed. Well, now all that's been digitized. Now we pull out money that's paper, but Bitcoin has shown us that we can do a better way of transacting using a digital currency, just like digital pictures.
And so why do you think that is an answer for African Americans for wealth creation?
Well, because with this technology, unlike what we've dealt with in the past, where we had to go with the central banks and the other type of intermediaries, with Bitcoin you can do peer-to-peer transactions. When we want to do business in Africa, we no longer have to go through the SWIFT bank systems, the Barclays that were built off of the slave trade. We actually can use a technology that allows us to transact faster, quicker, and less fees. Africa has the highest remittance fees than any continent in the world. These are predatory practices that we can use technology to render it obsolete. I tell people it's like Uber. There was a time when trying to catch a cab was the most humiliating time in the world. Well, now we use a technology called, Uber or Lyft, and I don't have to worry about what the taxi cab driver thinks about picking up.
Actually, you still do, because we have examples where they've thrown people out of the car because they didn't want to drive somebody who's black. So black still transcends even Uber and technology.
No, I agree. This is a good thing to talk about. These technologies weren't developed by our people. So even when we talk about the Ubers and the Lyft, if we had actually used those technologies instead of trying to figure out other ways to change these things, we could have actually made these technologies. But as a byproduct of Lyft and Uber, we've actually made some of these things obsolete. Now, how about actually being engaged and actually be the makers and developers of this technology and not waiting for someone to make these changes?
I was in Los Angeles earlier this summer, and my homegirl Janiqua told me about Bitcoin for the first time, and I had no idea.
I'm sorry.
Stop.
My
homegirl
Janiqua.
Shout out to Janiqua. Okay. That is my high school best friend.
Don't think for a second I was just gonna let that one just slide by.
I didn't.
You're a homegirl Janiqua. Go ahead.
Who knew about Bitcoin? Okay. And I did not know, told me about Bitcoin. I want to know, how is it accessible to the regular black folks? Because I didn't know what it was. Is it accessible to regular black folks? Is this something that you have to have a certain amount of wealth for to get Bitcoin in exchange? How does that work?
Well, I think one of the things that's a misnomer is the value of Bitcoin. So oftentimes people talk about Bitcoin when it's rising in value. So now it's around $4,000 per Bitcoin. But what people don't realize, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. Just like a dollar is divisible by 1/100th, a penny of a dollar bill, well, Bitcoin is divisible by 1/1,000th. So you actually can possess less than a dollar. You get caught up in these things called micropayments that people could use as a way of making people, when they click on your picture, charge less than a penny. If you did that with the current payment platforms like Visa, PayPal, just the fee to do the transaction would be too costly for you to do micropayments. With Bitcoin, since the transaction fees are almost non-existent and almost free, you can do even small payments. So you can buy $20 worth of Bitcoin. You don't have to buy the whole $4,000. So it is accessible, and I'm sorry.
No, now where do you buy your Bitcoin, number one? And number two, I just saw an article that Goldman Sachs is getting into the Bitcoin trading frenzy. So they're starting to see that this is viable for Goldman Sachs. And that kind of scares me off a little bit, because Goldman Sachs, government Sachs, likes to come in and take over things. So where do you buy Bitcoin?
So you buy Bitcoins on exchanges, or you can buy them at ATMs. With our wallet product, we have a exchange partner called Uphold, and you can connect that to your bank account, and you can actually purchase Bitcoin that way. One of the biggest things that we tell people is, utilize this currency not just for a store of value, but a way you can start transacting. So we even shared this with businesses. With Bitcoin, there's no chargebacks. So there's a lot of things that are advantageous for even small black business owners where the margins matter.
So, you know, you mentioned that this is a wealth building avenue, and I'm not an aficionado on Bitcoin, so I don't really know, but most of what I'm hearing now is about using it to purchase things. How do you use Bitcoin to actually build wealth, which is a completely different dynamic?
Well, it's, again, it not only is it a payment platform, we always try to do an analogy like a dollar bill is like a car. It still needs a road. It needs Visa, PayPal, a Swiss banking system. Bitcoin is the car and the road. It's actually a store of value where you can actually increase your wealth, as well as own payment platform. You don't need a third party in order to transact with it, which is very powerful when you start talking about doing different types of transactions and the fees and the costs. So in a real way, where you can store Bitcoin and it can appreciate like a commodity. So in many ways, I would liken it to like gold. People always ask, what's the value of Bitcoin? How does that determine? It's still basic supply and demand. When more people want Bitcoin than those who are willing to sell it, it goes up. When there's more people trying to sell Bitcoin than of those who want to buy it, goes down. And it's a consensus. Gold is not valuable because anything that it actually does, but we've agreed that gold is valuable. It's a rock. It's really just a rock. In the end of the world comes the people with goats will do better than the people with gold. Yep. So at the end of the day, that's the store of value story.
You're going to 20 HBCUs. Where can people find out, again, where you are going?
Thank you, Roland. So we're going to be in a host of universities. You can go to iloveblackpeople.com to follow us on tour. We have our hashtag Decolonize Your Life. We're going to be in Howard University tonight at 5 o'clock on campus with our kickoff. We're going to Morgan State tomorrow, North Carolina A&T for their homecoming. So we're going through a host of universities. Follow us. We have host committees. You can actually join in and volunteer. We want to make sure that we educate our people on this new technology. Just like the internet, we need to do a better job in informing our folks how we can leverage technology to solve problems in our community.
All right, we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
All right, folks, we'll be back. NewsOne Now.
Kool-Aid smile.
Right.
He was happy to see you.
NewsOne Now, 2 p.m.
That's cool.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh, my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.